Yes, students, welcome you all. So, in the last class, we have discussed in detail about this, the need and importance of resin finishes for cellulose-based materials. So, in that class, we have discussed the structure of cotton or structure of cellulose-based materials and how we are relating that structure with this creasing mechanism in cellulose based materials, and we have discussed clearly where the creasing phenomenon is associated with the newly formed hydrogen bonds in the amorphous region, where the polymeric chains are arranged more or less randomly. When it comes to crystalline region, where the polymeric chains are arranged very closely with each other, but when it comes to this amorphous region, the polymeric chains are arranged somewhat randomly. Because of this random arrangement, in the earlier we don't have any hydrogen bonding between free hydroxyl groups in the amorphous region. Free hydroxyl groups in the amorphous region. When it comes to crystalline region, since the polymeric chains are closely arranged, so what happens? Whatever the hydroxyl groups are there, between the two hydroxyl groups, we have strong hydrogen bond formation, which is not there in case of amorphous region. So, what we understood from the chemical structure of cotton, where in case of amorphous region, we have free hydroxyl groups. Where there won't be any bond formation between these hydroxyl groups. This is the actual structure of cotton. Understand? Now what we discussed further, where we have digging into where what is the main mechanism or main reason that is behind this crease formation in cotton. And later what we understood, whenever we are applying some mechanical stresses, or if you are twisting or if you are bending the fabric, so what it results? So it results in the formation of new hydrogen bonds in the amorphous regions. So earlier there won't be any hydrogen bonding, but whereas in case of this, like whenever you are doing this mechanical stresses during washing, or if you are twisting it, so which results in the hydroxyl groups in amorphous region think that now it is like this, where there won't be any bond formation. Now what will happen because of doing this mechanical stresses or any twisting, these hydroxyl groups will come closer. Now obviously what will happen between these two hydroxyl groups, where the hydrogen bond formation takes place. Now whatever this hydrogen bond formation takes place, this is more or less permanent until you are doing ironing process. So because of the formation of new hydrogen bonds in this amorphous region of cellulosic materials is the responsible for formation of creases, and that is the reason why after washing or after twisting or just folding the cotton fabric, the creases are prominent. That is because of the newly formed hydrogen bonds in the amorphous region. And now you see, after drying the creases are prominent. Now you are going for this ironing process. Now see, after ironing, do you think after ironing the folds are prominent? Obviously no, the folds are not prominent. That is because of during this ironing process, where the newly formed hydrogen bonds in this amorphous region is going to break. So again the structure go back to its original state. So this is how the creases are disappear during during ironing process, and the reason for the creases prominent after washing. Understand? So this is what we have discussed clearly in the last class. Again I am telling, so if you want to make the cellulosic based materials this crease free, you should understand first the structure of the particular cellulosic based fibers. You should understand its structure. So now you see, whatever the discussions in the last class we have made and the today's class again we are discussing, so it is based on the structure of cellulose, the structure of the internal structure of the fiber. Without knowing this, we cannot make a clear-cut understanding about how to make the same fiber crease free. Crease free. Okay. So in order to make the cotton crease free, so obviously we have to give some kind of finishes. So that finishes is broadly it is said to be resin finishing. Resin finishing. So okay. So when it comes to resins, first of all we will see what is a resin. Then we will discuss about how to do the finishing using this resins. So in polymer chemistry generally and material science, so resin is said to be a solid or highly viscous substance. A solid or a highly viscous substance which is typically convertible into polymers. This is called a resin. Understand? So such viscous substances can be made from plant derivatives or synthetic in origin, and they are often mixtures of organic compounds. That means the resins we may get it from plant based derivatives or synthetic in origin. Understand? So this resin finishing, it is also termed as wash and wear finish. That means in the last class we have seen wash and wear. So which is completely based on formaldehyde thing. Okay, so we are washing it and after drying we can wear it immediately. So in between there is no intermediate ironing process. Wash and wear finishes are anti-crease finish, or crease resistant finish, or durable press finish. For example, in case of this skirts and all, some kind of permanent pleats are there. That is permanent foldings are there. So that is called as durable press finish or wrinkle free finish. So depending upon the nature of final finish is there. So this resin finishes it may call as what wash and wear finishes, or anti-crease finishes, or crease resistant, durable press, or wrinkle free finishes. But altogether it indicates where the resin finishing. Okay. Now if you look at this resin finishes, there are various compounds that are the resins or the chemicals or cross linking agents that are available to get the required level of anti-crease in the cellulose based fabrics. Okay, cellulose based fabrics, and broadly we can categorize into like formaldehyde based cross linking agents and non-formaldehyde containing cross linking agents. Formaldehyde and then non-formaldehyde. So earlier days, so they were using like formaldehyde, the industries were using the formaldehyde based cross linking agents or resins to carry out this anti-creasing of cellulosic based materials. But like for example we have dimethylol urea, dimethylol dihydroxy urea, dimethylol dihydroxy ethylene urea. Likewise, we have various compounds which consist of, or the synthesis is involved the use of formaldehyde based compounds, formaldehyde. So what again later stages what happened is they found that the presence of formaldehyde in the finished fabrics is not good for health, and whatever the formaldehyde fumes that are coming out during finishing process, it is not good for the workers who are there in that finishing area. And so many countries were started imposing restrictions on the content of formaldehyde in the finished fabrics for children wear. That is the finished fabrics which is meant for children wear, where the formaldehyde content is different. That is the allowable level, very low, very low it is. When it comes to adults or when it comes to the garments which are not in direct contact with the skin. Likewise, they have segregated the garments and they have imposed certain restrictions on the formaldehyde content in the fabrics and the garments. slow. So totally what happened is, so the concept of using formaldehyde based to get anti-crease is moved towards the non-formaldehyde based cross-linking agents. So there it comes various compounds which doesn't synthesize with the help of formaldehyde, or we can say that there is no formaldehyde presence in that. There is no formaldehyde presence. So nowadays most of the industries, if they are giving this anti-crease finishing, in the sense they are using these non-formaldehyde based cross-linking agents. Why? Because there are a lot of restrictions on this formaldehyde content in the fabrics or the garments. So no industry wants to take any risk if they are exporting their garments to other countries, if they are exporting it. So that's why most of the industries, they are using this non-formaldehyde based cross-linking agents. Okay, so here in today's class, our main focus is to use these non-formaldehyde based cross-linking agents. What are the different compounds that are available which doesn't consist of this formaldehyde, and at the same time it gives effective anti-creasing in the cellulosic based materials. Understand? Now the best example, or the first example, is where this DME-DHEU. DME-DHEU. So it stands for NN-dimethyl 4,5-dihydroxy ethylene urea. Ethylene urea. And we should not get confused with this DMDHEU. So in DMDHEU, dimethyl dihydroxy ethylene urea, we have the presence of formaldehyde. That is, the synthesis of this compound involves the presence of formaldehyde. Whereas in case of this DME-DHEU, there is no presence of formaldehyde. So we can say that it is a non-formaldehyde based cross-linking agents. Okay. And why we are saying it is non-formaldehyde? Why? Because the synthesis involves the use of this NN-dimethyl urea and glyoxal, and it often referred to as dimethyl urea glyoxate or DHDMI. So from this we can clearly understand whatever this DME, DHEU we are talking about as a non-formaldehyde cross-linking agent. Why? Because the synthesis doesn't involve the presence of formaldehyde. So now you can see here how this DME, DHEU is synthesized and how it reacts with the cellulose to form a strong cross-linking with the cotton fiber. Now you can see clearly where NN-dimethyl urea and glyoxal, it results in DME, DHEU compound. So this is how the synthesis is made. And now once the synthesis is completed, we are taking this DME, DHEU and we are reacting with cotton. So in cotton we have already discussed the structure. We have this CH2OH groups. Okay, so that is, we have the OH group. And here also, this side also, that representation we have given as cotton. So in the center we have this. What is this? This is nothing but this DME, DHEU. Now what is happening? This cotton is this DME, DHEU is reacting with this cotton. And it results in, now you can see, the removal of two hydroxyl groups, and finally you can see here, this is the final structure. This is the final structure. Understand? So here if you carefully observe this, there's a cross linking and all. In cotton we have CH2OH is there. So you take this hydrogen here, and the same way here also one more hydrogen. So two hydrogens that are removed away from this cotton. So two hydrogens came out. Understand? And the same way, so here also in this DME, DHEU, that reactive groups R is there, that is also come out. In the same way, oxygen also it is come out. Understand? That is OR. OR is there na, in DMU, DHU. So here one OR is there, here also one OR is there. These two OR and then these two hydrogen atoms from the cellulose is separated. That's why here you can see in the reactions two OH. And finally, this is what the cross-linking structure with cellulose. Cross-linking structure with cellulose. Understand? So, if you look at the main properties, so one is the important thing, it is formaldehyde free, and then it is low reactive and very low chlorine retention, and then limited durability to laundering. That is, we cannot say that laundering durability is excellent. It is only limited, and then yellowing effect when not either modified. Yellowing effect will be there if it is either modified. And then if you look at the price or effect ratios, it is nearly 4:1 with DM-DHU. That is compared to that is with respect to price or with respect to effect, where nearly it is 4:1, like 4 times we have to use it when compared with DM-DHU. And development of unpleasant odors depending on the product formulation. So these are all the main properties of this DME-DHU cross-linking agent. Okay. And the next non-formaldehyde based cross-linking agent we are going to discuss is polycarboxylic acid. Polycarboxylic acid. So the name itself, if you carefully observe, poly is nothing but what? Many. So whatever these acids we are selecting in such a way that where many carboxylic groups will present. That means carboxylic group in the sense COOH groups. If you take acetic acid for example, so CH3COOH. So how many carboxylic groups are there? Only one carboxylic group is there. So can you say that acetic acid is a polycarboxylic acid? Can you say acetic acid is a polycarboxylic acid? No. Why? Because it consists of only one carboxylic group, which is not that much effective in cross-linking with cellulose and form this anti-crease effect. That's why they have chosen the acids which consist of many carboxylic groups, that is more than 2. Understand? And they have started applying to cotton, where in cotton we have OH groups, that means alcohol groups, and in case of acid we have this acid, that is, and we are reacting with acids. So acid and alcohol, it will react together. It results in formation of ester groups. That means in cotton, finally between this cross-linking agent and then this cotton, we have ester formation takes place, which is very strong, and there won't be any breakage. Okay. Now, so I want to remind you one thing. So we already the various reasons for the crease formation. That is the formation of new hydrogen bonds. And what is our main intention in applying this all this, either it may be formaldehyde based or non-formaldehyde based. So what we are expecting, whatever this cross-linking agents we are using, that is going to cross-link in between the hydroxyl groups in the amorphous region, which are free. So whatever the free hydroxyl groups are there in the cotton or in the cellulosic based materials, this cross-linking agent, it will cross-link, so that what it will result finally, where there won't be any free hydroxyl groups in the cellulosic based materials. Understand? Now, even though if you are doing washing or if you are bending, since there are no free hydroxyl groups and there is no chance of new hydrogen bonding. So ultimately what we are getting through this cross-linking, so we are trying to prevent the new form, that is formation of new hydrogen bonds in the amorphous region. That is what we are trying to do. Even in the earlier cross-linking structure also, that is what we have obtained. So why? Because the cross linking may not take place in crystalline regions. Why? Because already the polymer chains are compactly arranged. There is no need also there. Understand? So this is what we are getting it. The cross linking we are getting it in the free hydroxyl groups in amorphous region. Okay. Now coming back to this polycarboxylic acid. As I told you already, so whatever the acid we are selecting, so that consists of many, that is more than 2 carboxylic groups, more than 2 carboxyl groups. Okay. Now what will happen is, as it mentioned you already, so whatever this polycarboxylic acid, say for example we have citric acid is there and we have this BTCA, I'll tell you what is that. Okay, whatever the polycarboxylic acid is there, so acid, it will form an anhydride. It will form an anhydride between adjacent carboxyls. What do you mean by anhydride? This acid, whatever the acids which will release this water, that is water during its reactions. Okay, so whatever this anhydride which is formed between adjacent carboxyls, and this anhydride react with hydroxyls of the cellulose. So we have in cellulose, we have alcohol groups, that is ROH groups, and we have this anhydride which is of acid, that is water released from this acid. Understand? Between these two, what will happen? This is alcohol and this is acid. When alcohol reacts with acid, finally it results in ester formation or ester linking. Understand? So which is highly stable and durable. But the main thing is where we can expect some strength loss of the fabric. This is a major drawback. Understand? Now if you look at, we will see what are the different polycarboxylic acids that are available and how to apply this polycarboxylic acids on cellulosic based materials. Now if you look at this citric acid, it is recognized as inexpensive and very good cross linking agent for cellulose. But its performance, if you use citric acid alone, where the performance is not going to be that much satisfactory. That means it needs some support of another chemical to get the synergistic effect. That is the combination of effect. Understand? Now you can see here. So this is what this citric acid. Now you can see how many carboxylic groups. Here there are 3 carboxylic groups. Here there are 3 carboxyl groups. Now you see the cellulose we are treating. We are heating in the presence of some catalyst, where this is what the final structure we are getting. This is what the final structure we are getting. Understand? Now if you look at this carboxylic acid, that is citric acid, as I told you already, the performance will not be satisfactory if you use it alone. So that's why what we are doing is we are adding with this smaller amount of polymalic acid to get the synergistic effect. Understand? And also sometimes the final finished fabric, it may cause fabric yellowing. Because the hydroxyl of that is citric acid molecules hinders its esterification with cellulose. Sometimes we are expecting the carboxylic acid, that is COOH, to make ester group with the ROH group in cellulose. So sometimes if it doesn't happen, where it results in fabric yellowing. Understand? Now this is about this. So whatever this high concentration of citric acid or trisodium citrate, which shows excellent crease resistance. However, the whiteness index reduces at a higher concentration of citric acid. That means if you increase the concentration, the whiteness will reduce. And the optimum curing temperature, that is during finishing. So if you follow pad dry and cure, the optimum curing temperature is 160 degrees, which gives the best crease recovery angles. Understand? So at 160 degrees curing temperature and 10% citric acid with different levels of trisodium citrate. What is this trisodium citrate? It is a compound which we are adding in addition to this citric acid, or we can say that it is also a catalyst. A better whiteness index and bursting strength is obtained at these combinations. Okay. So whatever this crease resistance of finished garments with this citric acid, so it is more comfortable due to high moisture absorbency percentage. Understand? So this is about this citric acid, so which is considered to be a non-formaldehyde based cross-linking agents. And one more thing is this chitosan. So chitosan is found to be a eco-friendly cross-linking agent. Why? Because we are getting it from the nature. Understand? So it is a non-formaldehyde and durable press finish that produces wrinkle resistant as well as antimicrobial properties. So it in biological characteristics such as it is biocompatible in terms of natural polymer, biodegradable, safe and non-toxic. Because of all these reasons, we can say that chitosan is an eco-friendly cross-linking agent. Okay. So in terms of it won't release formaldehyde, it is not toxic. Okay. The another polycarboxylic acid which gives excellent anti-crease effect to cellulose based material is BTCA. That means 1,2,3,4 butane tetracarboxylic acid. So tetra is nothing but 4. So this polycarboxylic acid, it consists of 4 carboxylic groups at its 1, 2, 3, 4 positions. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 positions. Now you can see here. This is how the structure of this BTCA looks like. Now you can see, you can count easily how many carboxylic groups are there. COOH, understand, and COOH, COOH, and finally COOH. So total 4 carboxylic groups are there. Now you see what is the reaction where dianhydride, that means 2 water molecules will remove that, okay, which is an intermediate product which we are reacting with this cellulose, So and finally the cross linking structure will take place. Understand, that is ester linking. So again it will give excellent or good crease recovery but limited durability to long term, and it is relatively expensive when compared with the other cross linking agents. And this cross linking, this BTCA, it is more effective where it needs the presence of a catalyst which is sodium hypophosphite. This is very important to understand or remember. So why? Because most of the competitive exams, if you take GATE exam, so you can expect these kind of questions. So anti-crease finishing of cotton is obtained with. So they might be giving these different options where BTCA is one of the things. You have to choose the BTCA, and the BTCA application with cellulosic based materials, it needs the presence of catalyst. So name that catalyst. So sodium hypophosphite is the catalyst. So where you have to keep this in your mind. Okay. So since this sodium hypophosphate is a reducing agent, it can discolor certain dyestuffs, especially some reactive and sulfur dyes. So we need to be careful enough in application of this BTCA on the reactive and sulfur colors. Understand? And so this is all about the different non-formaldehyde based and eco-friendly cross-linking agents for cellulosic based materials. Okay. Now when it comes to application, there are different methods. One is as usual finishing, that is pad, dry and cure. So we are padding with required concentration of chemicals and catalyst, and then we are drying at the 100 degrees Celsius to evaporate the moisture from the fabric. Then we are doing curing at 130 or 140, depends upon the agent we are using. So after curing we are getting the final cross linking structure. So this is the first one. And the second one is we are padding and we are drying, but we are not doing this curing process. This curing will take place once the garment is made. So you have to understand this. So we are padding with the required concentration of chemical and we are drying it where the moisture evaporates. So still the cross linking is not done. When cross linking will done only at the curing stage. So we are not doing any curing. So the fabric after drying we are sending to the garments. Now say for example they are making frocks. Think that they are making frocks. After stitching frock, where they are going to fold the fabric and then they are going to give the ironing. Wherever they want to create some intentional folds, they will fold it on the garment and then they are going to do the ironing. So during ironing, which resembles a curing process, what is happening now? Where the cross linking is taking place. Earlier there won't be any cross linking. Now whenever you are doing this ironing for some time, so what is happening? Where the cross linking will take place, where the creases are going to be permanent. In this case the creases are going to be permanent. So this type of finish we call it as durable press finish, where we are creating some intentional pleats or intentional folds, and this is also called as post cure or delay cure method. Hope you understand this. And then spraying of garment. So onto the garment we are spraying it and then we are doing it. And then impregnation or dipping of garment. We are dipping the garment, centrifugation, and then drying, pressing or ironing, where it will give you some kind of fancy effects. We are dipping it completely in this solution and where centrifugation is carried out, that is water removal, okay, and then drying and then pressing or iron. So this will give us some kind of different effect. So likewise there are different methods to get the anti-crease effect. So one is pad dry cure and pad dry, that is post cure, and then spraying and then this impregnation technique. Okay, so now this is all about the finishing of cellulosic based materials using this resin finishes, that too non-formaldehyde based cross linking agents. Okay, now so with this the application part everything is done. Now we have to see, as I mentioned you already, so the level of formaldehyde present in the final garments, it makes the garments more, that is the less rejections during if you are exporting it. So whatever the finishing you are doing with this, that is anti-crease finishes, where the level should be according to the limits. There should be some restrictions of formaldehyde levels. So suppose when you use the first one like phenol formaldehyde or melamine formaldehyde based or urea formaldehyde based cross linking agents, where the formaldehyde content is about 2000 parts per million, it is very high. When you use DMEU, it is reduced to 500, and when you use DMDHEU, where it is above around 50 to 30. But when you use this DME-DHEU or DMD-MI, where the formaldehyde levels are very low, that is nil. Even in case of polycarboxylic acids also, the level is, there is no formaldehyde. Why? Because the synthesis the synthesis doesn't involve the presence of formaldehydes. Understand? And we have this Work-Io-Tech standards 100, where the formaldehyde content should be measured according to these standards, and the whatever this list is there, you can see the furnishing fabric, that is the fabrics which are meant for furnishing, the level of formaldehyde allowed as per this Work-Io-Tech standard 100, okay, where it is 300 ppm. It should not be more than that. And the clothing, that is if the fabric is meant for adult clothing, where the formaldehyde level is 75 ppm, and finally for children's goods, where it is 20 ppm. So see, so how these levels are varying. Understand? And so when it comes to this evaluation, it is very important, is it right? So we have chosen, we found out the reason for creasing, and then we have identified the suitable cross-linking agents to give the anti-crease effect, and we have checked for the formaldehyde content. And finally, formaldehyde content checking also will come under evaluation only. Okay, finally, we should not send the fabric as such for the garments. We should understand what extent the finish has applied. What is the effectiveness of finish? So for that, obviously, we have to do this evaluation. So depending upon the evaluation criteria of the buyer, where they will mention you, or they will ask you where the particular test, and you have to carry out the test, and you have to satisfy the buyer. The result should satisfy the buyer. Otherwise, they won't take your fabric. Understand? So this is what the evaluation methods. So where we have this AATCC test methods, AATC 124, 128 and 66 and 88C. Likewise, we have different test methods are available. So each and every test method is intended to test the different aspects of the finished goods. If you take the first one, AATCC 124, where the appearance of fabric after repeated home launderings, how the appearance is going to be. That is only visual thing. The second one, wrinkle recovery of fabrics. Wrinkle recovery. So after these repeated washings, what is that wrinkle recovery? What extent the wrinkles are recovering? Likewise, we have different test methods to evaluate the treated fabrics. Now also you can see. So several test methods are available. So each and every test method, it is intended to identify or measure or evaluate the particular properties of the treated fabrics. Understand? I hope you understand this class. And before closing this session, I'll brief you. So what we have discussed in today's class. In today's class, we have started with these resin finishes, and we have seen what are these resins. It's a viscous compounds, or we can also call it as cross-linking agents, to get required level of anti-crease in the cellulosic based materials. Understand? And also we have seen so what are the different non-formaldehyde based cross-linking agents. We have discussed in detail about DME, DHEU, and we have discussed about this polycarboxylic acids like citric acid and BTCA, and also we have seen the cross-linking using chitosan. And after that, we have discussed what are the different application methods that are available, like pre-cure, post-cure, spraying, and then impregnation. And then finally, the evaluation of anti-crease finished garments or fabrics. Understand? So with this, the resin finishes are completed. So hope you understand the class, and again we'll meet in the next class, and we will discuss about some other functional finish. So thank you.